Hello, YouTube. I'm just popping on the channel today, going live so that I can, mostly for my own reference, document the current state of the garden. It is Friday, October 17th. Still no frost here um, in the suburbs of Minneapolis. Um, I don't think anyone in the city who lives in the city has had a frost, at least the people that I know that live in the city. But I do know some folks that live, out in the outskirts and have more like open farmland. And they unfortunately did get some frost. This was like spotted frost. Not everybody did. And then certainly people up north, I'm pretty sure have gotten a lot of those areas. It depends, right, on your garden and exactly where you are. But some northern areas in Minnesota have also gotten frost, but a lot of the state is warm, y'all. It's unbelievable. And so I went on after looking at the forecast. I decided to take advantage of this warm weather. Our lows have been in the 50s. I had one day where I recorded into the 40s within the last week. But after that one dip that we had, which it was a dip in temperature, but it was not an actual frost or freeze. It was just a short dip in the temperature into the 30s. And so I don't know, it's almost like it like shook up a couple plants and woke them up like, oh, wait, I got to start growing. And so it's been really interesting to see how much is still growing and thriving here in my zone 4 garden. And so I do need to get a hold of myself and go ahead and start to really harvest most of the food that I want to preserve. And so that's what I'm out here doing. Um, Starting today, a lot of this weekend, I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of the food out of my garden. And so all these gorgeous leafy greens, collards, not today. I'm probably going to save these for tomorrow. But I'm going to start doing deep harvests of these so that I can preserve some in the garden. These will be fine even if it gets down into the 30s. And so I'm not going to take everything out. They don't grow typically all year uncovered here because we do get into the, minus 20, minus 25, and it'll stay like that for a week. So it's not like those are not times where it's like a dip and then it warms. It stays cold. And so eventually everything here will freeze and die if we have a normal winter, right? And so I do want to get as much food as possible out of here. But since I still have some non-frost hardy plants in here, over the next couple days, I am going to focus on getting those out first. So, like my tomatoes, I have some tomatoes that are just starting to blush, um, but I still have a lot of big tomatoes that they haven't started blushing at all. But I think with the temperatures going down in the 40s, like they may not blush out here. So I got to make decisions about what I'm going to do with those. I still have a lot of cherry tomatoes that have ripened. I still have a lot of herbs. And then I have a lot of new pumpkin and squash that grew since the end of September. And so I do think I'm going to start harvesting some of those things as well, and just see what they do once they're inside. I'm going to put them in a place where they can continue to cure. Same with the tomatoes, and just see what ripens. Um, if the tomatoes don't ripen, then I'll make something with those using the green tomatoes. And the squash is like, I mean, it's still going to be squash. I think what might happen is maybe the flavor isn't like fully developed. So I'm not gonna like really get the full sweetness or flavor profile, but we'll see. I don't know. The ones that are left are things that this is my first year growing. So I also don't know right? Like what it's supposed to taste like. But I'm gonna take the phone off and turn it around and just do a really quick scan to share with you all some of the things I'm going to go ahead and harvest today. And then you'll see it probably next week in a full format video, like I've been doing when I've been doing my big harvest and weighing it so you can just get some inspiration. I know a lot of people don't, garden in zone 4. Um, but for those that do, at least you can see a little bit of inspiration for what you can actually do and grow, you know, even if your season is short. Um, I say cold climate. I mean, our summers are warm, but our springs are usually a little chilly. Our falls are short. Our springs are short, and our winters are frozen tundra for for a while. And so it is a colder climate. I mean, it's not like being in the deep south, but to be honest, my climate overall doesn't feel much different from when I lived in Michigan. And I think some of those areas were zone 6. So I think because we do get warm summers here in the Minneapolis area, and we get a lot of sun. We get a lot of sun. Um, Very sunny climate, even in the winter. It's kind of like one of my favorite channels. They're in Alaska, and I mean, you think like, oh, they're in Alaska, they can't grow that much food outdoors. They grow so much food outdoors because they plant in a way that really takes advantage of all the light that they do get during that time in Alaska. And they grow a lot of food. They use greenhouses and stuff like that too. But anyway, I say all that to say wherever you live, look for inspiration to figure out how you can maximize your growth, your harvest. I feel like for me, I'm focused on, I love to grow a lot of things, but I also need my plants to be productive. I have a short time to grow, and I'm a yield based person. I'm a results based person. I don't want to just sow a lot of seeds for the sake of sowing a lot of seeds. I want to harvest a lot of food, right? And so I'm always looking for that kind of inspiration to um, to also kind of see, you know, what I can do and what I can try. I look back at my notes. I got a lot of notes this season because this season was so different. Every year I say this season is different, and in every season I've been here for 5 years, and every season has been different. This is a little chatty. I just got to get this off my chest because I keep forgetting. I try not to talk too much in videos. I want to show you my results in videos. Um, but I'm going to take advantage of this live stream and just chat a little bit because I do. I think, especially moving forward, I'm going to be zeroing in even more on. I want the variety, and I can still have the variety, but I'm looking back through my journals since I started growing here in 2020, and I'm looking for all the things that gave me the most food. And I recognize that like year to year that could change. But like this year, there was some real high yielding tomatoes that I planted over the years. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to plant them this year. I'll save them for the indoor garden. And I am annoyed with myself that I didn't plant that. So I think I have to spend even more time this year. I don't really like looking back through my videos because it's like, it's like looking through the past. It's like I don't have time for that. I'm a forward thinking person. But I will sit down this winter with coffee and tea and a notepad, and I'm gonna like rescan all my video footage. Probably 70% of what I record never makes it onto YouTube, right? But I'm talking to myself in these videos. I'm gonna be taking so many notes because um, I don't know. I feel like moving forward, like we can't be playing around. Like I'm so glad that I took those early years here to experiment with a lot of varieties of things, and I will always grow a lot of varieties of things. But like since I've grown out probably like 50 different varieties of tomatoes to full harvest. I can pull out those ones that I know gave a lot of food and make sure I plant multiple of those next year, for example. Like there's some big tomatoes. This was a crazy tomato year. I grew a lot of new tomatoes as big tomatoes because I knew my cherry tomatoes would deliver. And it makes me wonder, like, if I had stuck with those tried and trues, would they have yielded better? I mean, you don't know. But as I expand my garden, I have the opportunity to continue to expand my garden. And as I expand it, I definitely have to like make sure that when I'm planting my garden, at least 50% of that garden is planned with things that I have the evidence, the actual evidence that they yielded a lot of food, right? I'm an evidence based person. And so I have collected the data. I need to look at the data. I need to look at the data. I need to look at the facts and figure out what's going to be best to get the most food out of this garden space in 2026 and plan for that while I'm still planning for all the fun and the discovery. Like this year, I did. I grew a lot of new squash. And I'm telling you, it was just a delight to see their form and their shape. And I like every day I walk past my counter where I have them curing, and it's like, I can't wait to cut into that squash and see what it looks like on the inside and taste it and all those things, right? Um, but yeah, I'm kind of sad. There are like two main squash that I didn't grow this year that I love, and they produce so much. My little sweet dumpling squash, and there's an acorn squash variety that I've grown every year, and they produce so much food. And I started the seeds, and it rained and rained and rained, and I never put the transplants out, and then they just, they ended up dying. But it's like I have to be. I'm pretty disciplined with my garden overall, but I have to be even more disciplined in 2026 for sure. And what I might have to do right now, I garden alone. I mean, I let my husband and son help me with like cleanup and building things. But I do everything else myself. I do all the planting, of course, all the seed starting, all the harvesting. Like I do all the preserving. I do all that myself. I think in spring, I'm going to have to start teaching some folks around here how to also help plant so that I can actually get my transplants in the ground. Like every year, there's always like a couple trays that just never quite make it. So I think that's also a lesson to like let other people help me while I'm teaching them. Let my family help me while I'm teaching them. But anyway, that's enough chitter chatter. Let's go around and again have a quick peek at what is, I mean, lots of things. Okay, so got the camera turned around. And guys, you can see again, it's October 17th. Clearly, there's been no frost because, I mean, look at this. So these are my last Paul Robeson tomatoes. They're little because we did basically when things started getting cold, like they stopped, a lot of things just stopped growing and then just started ripening at the size that they were at, right? And so those will be a little bit smaller. These tomatoes here, as I harvest these, that's why I'm not going to record the harvest because I do have to it's going to be a little bit time consuming because I do need to like find the tag, write down the names, record all that mainly for myself, for my own notes. Um, you can see all these herbs. Um, that heavy rain did knock some of the tomatoes off. So I am going to have to do some cleanup. I did not get out here and save these callaloo seeds yet. So I am going to get out here with my tools to save all of these seeds. Um, Still have, I mean, it's going to be hard to see as I'm scanning because they're still green, but I still have so many tomatoes in this garden. These are the green ones. And again, I'm a little sad because I don't know if they're going to blush before I have to harvest them. More callaloo. This was kind of fun to see that Brussels are actually forming on my Brussels sprouts. So that's kind of a nice delight. Let me show you over here. I think I showed these. I don't know if I've released that video yet, where I showed the new ones, but I did release the one where I harvested all these Seminole, Florida pumpkins. And this plant started pushing out new fruit because it's still warm, which is crazy. This squash here, I had planned to harvest, and then I realized what it was, and so I decided to leave it. This is a very long, I think it's like 140-day squash. It's the only one I have. I'm pretty sure I know what this is, and this is my first year growing this, and so it should be a pretty special squash if it is what I think it is. So I decided to go ahead and leave that out here as long as possible to, cure. And I mean, the plant just, it keeps pushing out new greenery. So, and then again, I told you, all my kale, that chipmunk running through my garden. And yeah, lots of chard. And I've been harvesting the kale and chard. You're going to see in some upcoming videos where I come out to harvest just for meals. You'll see some of the stuff that I was harvesting. Again, those things I don't typically weigh. Something got in here and was messing with the marigolds, which is kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I'm going to be harvesting a lot of those. And then I think I shared this squash in a video that I'm going to be uploading in a little bit. And I showed it when it was like first forming. And this thing has just grown so much in 2 weeks. This is another really rare heirloom squash. The only one I got this season, and it came really late. And so I'm so excited that at least I'll get to taste it at minimum, young. But my hope, you see how the skin is changing a little bit? Once those get hit with a little bit of like yellowish orange, this baby's gonna cure easily. But I will bring that inside. I'm watching the forecast, of course, like all gardeners during this time of year. And if we have anything that looks like it's going to get below 40, I will make sure I come out and grab it. But that I'm not going to grab just yet. But I am going to get in here. I still have a lot of onions. And so I'm going to get all my onions out so they have time to cure on the screen porch before it gets too cold. Still harvesting flower blossoms. Um, yeah. And then here are some more squash that all formed after it started getting cold. And so I am going to harvest one of those. I have one outside kind of laying on top of the mulch. I'm going to harvest that and cut that open And I'm going to leave those two. I think these are the only two that got bigger. The rest didn't pollinate. So it's three. And then, I mean, you see here, it's still putting out new fruit, which is just amazing. And the cabbages and kales are still beautiful. Lots of the seeds that I sowed did germinate. Some of these collards, I'm going to thin these out and put these on my screen porch on my greens garden that I'm going to set up. The strawberry plants. And yeah, they're trying to like form new fruit. So it's going to be interesting. And then we're going to do a quick walk over on the other side just to show you some more things. All right, I think I got kicked out of the studio and didn't even realize it. So I'm going to wrap up because I did this whole tour and explanation. So I'm going to just do a quick scan so you can just see all the food that's still growing in here. That basil is looking beautiful. But yeah, just got to clear things out. As I mentioned, and I don't know if it recorded, I did take advantage of the green stock um, warehouse sale. It's a new tromboncino squash that got pushed out. It's obviously not going to grow. Um, but yeah, I bought like 8 new green stalks. And so that's part of why I want to clean out a lot of these grow bags and get this aisle cleared. Because I think right in the center aisles, I'm going to set up a lot of those green stalks and just put in like, I have a lot of cold, hardy greens and herbs. And so I'm going to do that. And then I have some flowers and stuff that'll maybe pop up in the spring. Ooh, there's another ox heart tomato in there. So yeah, it's gonna be sad if I have to harvest a lot of these tomatoes green, but I will. I do like for my tomatoes to ripen on the vine. But I still got a lot of big tomatoes in here. Um, Again, I don't know if it recorded, but there's all kinds of tomatoes down in here. There's new squash trying to form. All those vines just need to get pulled out. But I think today's focus is gonna be mostly the tomatoes. And then I still have a lot of eggplant. A lot of eggplant. Oh my goodness. So much eggplant. And yeah, I'm gonna be saving a lot of these plants in the greenhouse. Like this African striped eggplant. So I'm gonna go through, harvest a lot, figure out what I'm going to save to put into the greenhouse to try to extend the harvest off of. I got tomatoes all back in here that fell off the vine with all the rain. So I got to get those off the ground. Whew. And then I have new eggplant, more purple beauty eggplant have started. So I might save all of those plants. They've just been beautiful. The okra is still giving me food. Is that a ladybug up there? Hmm, ladybug. And then here, pink open island eggplant, still giving me food. And then I still have a lot of big tomatoes, even in this bed. A lot of them you can't see because, again, as I keep mentioning, my tomato plants fell with all the rain. Ground got soft and the stakes fell over. But I'm going to go through these. In here, I got a lot of big ones still. This one started to blush. But what's going to happen is I'm going to get my food. And I have to decide if I want to um, dig up any of this horseradish or not. I'm not sure. And then I still have a lot of herbs in these beds. I've been freeze drying, and I was going to pull these pots to put them inside, but the weather has still been so warm. I just left them out here to keep growing as much as they can. So let me go. I have a lot of harvesting to do. Um, I have about, I think I have 2 or 3. Um, yeah, I have 2 big harvest videos to share. And then this one will come next week. And I might put just the whole garden clean out together because I'm not going to have time to film and edit. I'm just going to get my food. But I just wanted to do a quick scan to document for myself And as we talked about earlier, to share the evidence of what is growing. I almost missed those clusters of eggplant. And what's still growing on October 17th in zone 4? It was bananas. It is bananas. But I'm going to take it. All right, y'all, let me get to work. I'm actually about to release a harvest video. So I'm going to go make that public. And then I'm going to get back out here and get my work on. I got a huge Azure Standard haul yesterday also. And so while I'm harvesting, I got stuff freeze drying and canning and in the oven. This is going to be a busy week, but you'll hear all about it soon. All right, y'all. Bye.